Hey, what's up guys? Ken here from the Retro Toys Cockpit channel. Today I'm looking at another classic vehicle from Kenner's VOR-TECH line of transforming vehicles from the 1990s. Now if you checked out my earlier videos on the VOR-TECH Sonic Stinger and Rattler, links are in the description by the way. Now you'll know that I have a soft spot for this series because of its similarities to Mask, and it was in fact an attempt by Kenner to revisit the 80s popularity of Mask despite failing miserably. That being said, VOR-TECH remains a cult sensation, and though only a small number of vehicles were produced, they are insanely hard to find on the secondary market for a good price today. Now on the channel, I'm checking out the Thunderwing today. This is the vehicle of choice for VOR-TECH team leader Hudson Rock. Actually, I looked around and I couldn't find another review for the Thunderwing anywhere else on YouTube. So I'm gonna call this a YouTube first. So let's get to it. At this point, Kenner Toys was already owned by Hasbro, and you might recognize the Thunderwing name from Hasbro's Generation 1 Transformers, specifically that of the Decepticon Commander Thunderwing. But it's pretty much commonplace for toy companies to reuse cool sounding names across all their toy lines. Now the vehicle is mostly all grey, and that kind of makes the detailing pretty hard to stand out. Overall, it comes off as pretty flat, but there are flashes of colors, especially on the stickers, and the black on the treads underneath, as we'll see once we get this thing converted. Now this thing also comes with a huge cockpit. Yeah, in fact, the cockpit pretty much takes up the entire space allocated to the vehicle. You might say that it's maybe more cockpit than jet. But inside the cockpit, that's where you'll find our pilot, Hudson. Now despite the creative ideas that Toyline had, VOR-TECH was definitely produced on the cheap, and you really see the budget cuts when it comes to the figures. There's really not much personality here when it comes to Hudson. Now he could just as easily be a Max Steel or a James Bond Jr. figure or any of those other figures that came out during the 90s. And to be honest, whenever I see the pre-post wide-legged stance that almost every Kenner figure from the 90s had, whenever I see this, I always think of Batman, Legends of the Dark Knight, or Kenner's Waterworld toys, or the Aliens toys from Kenner. All of those figures had no knee articulation, and the figures were locked in this dynamic standing position. Look at that. I know it looks macho, but the lack of knee articulation pretty much hurts the figure. Now this is the element of the toy line that really gets you thinking of Mask, because the figures all have a mask of their own. Now let's check this guy out. Although the masks or helmets do add some excitement, they are in fact pretty flat. They don't have much personality or colors to them, and they are in fact actually shockingly flimsy. And it's easy to confuse them for something like, if someone saw it lying on the floor and didn't know what it was, it's easy to just confuse it for some scattered rubbish and accidentally throw it away. I mean, you guys could see that happening, right? You could just think that this was rubbish and just sweep it off or just chuck it in the bin, right? The inside of the cockpit is just a compartment, man. I mean, you see a sticker with some gauges and dials to indicate a control panel, but there isn't even anything that looks like a seat for your pilot to sit in. And there's no seat belt, and no controls or handles or anything like that to maneuver the jet. It's like, he's flying this thing with his mind. Okay, anyway, it's time to check out the vehicle. Now this thing has two modes. But since it's called the Thunderwing, I guess it's expected that the primary vehicle mode would be the jet. Now the Thunderwing does have one cool concealed feature. This whole turbine section raises up for attack, and when you press on this yellow button that's located underneath, the front section flies out as some kind of a projectile missile. Check this out. Not too bad a feature, and it's always added play value when a toy has something that fires out. Now the missile launcher can also be rotated about 360 degrees, so you can pretty much attack the enemy from any direction. That's right. There's no sneaking up on this guy. Okay, transformation time. So what you gotta do is fold the wings up to reveal a set of tank treads from underneath, and then you fold these two front sections down to become these sort of ski-like things, and you're pretty much done. Yeah. So the official name for this mode is supposed to be a ground tracker. I guess it's a tank of some kind, but it doesn't look like a conventional tank of any kind that we've seen, so Kenner had to think up something cute instead. But they could have just called it a land assault vehicle, right? What the hell is a ground tracker? Now the missile launcher can also be engaged in this mode, like so, and you can have it elevated and rotated about for attack, just like it does during its jet mode. The thing about the Thunderwing's ground mode is that the treads obviously do not roll. But every time you have a set of toy plastic treads that are not expected to roll, you do tend to find a set of tiny wheels built into the treads that help to move the vehicle along. But no such thing here, dudes. No such thing here. This is all solid and you just kind of have to push it along. Like so. That's right, just push it along manually. That's how it rolls. Okay, so that's the Thunderwing, guys. Now, even though this thing looks and feels pretty cheap, I can't deny that there's something that's still a little bit fun about how it's a transforming vehicle that calls back to mask, and that it has two distinct modes that are easy and quick to achieve. But what really boggles my mind is why they would make this vehicle the main vehicle of choice for the team leader. I mean, the team leader's vehicle should be something grand and regal. You know, something that's packed with a ton of features that makes it the wish list item of the whole toy range. But this tiny mini jet looks more like a sidekick's ride. You know, this seems like it was a small aircraft that broke away from a much larger jet that was supposed to be the team leader's vehicle and the crown jewel of the entire series. But that's not what we got. So guys, hey, that's the video. Do let me know in the comments what you thought of it. And if you've ever owned this yourself or any of the VOR-TECH vehicles, I want to hear from you. And do drop me a like if you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you, and I'll catch you guys again real soon.